Hello everybody, my name is Prakash MS. Today I am here to give a demo class over a topic called as solid states. Dear friends, we know that the matter exists in three different states. That is gases, liquids and solid states. These three states are better explained by two terms. They are intermolecular force of attractions, force of attraction and thermal energy. Here the thermal energy is repulsive interaction and intermolecular force of attraction is the binding force. In case of gases, the thermal energy is greater than the intermolecular force of attraction. In case of liquids, this intermolecular force of attraction, is less than thermal energy. So that in liquid states, this is almost equal. The intermolecular force of attraction is almost equal to the thermal energy. In case of solids, this intermolecular force of attraction is greater than the thermal energy. So these two factors decides the state of matters. So here the gaseous states and the liquid state has been studied at your first PUC, that is the kinetic theory of gases, the ideal gas equation and many more things on the gases. Next, on liquids we have studied about the surface tension, the viscosity. These are the two concepts which are studied at your first year PUC. This solid state was not discussed proper in the first year PUC. So therefore, the solid state can be discussed in your second PUC. In solid state, we will discuss about the classification of solids, nextly the crystal lattice and the unit cell, the packing efficiency, the close packing, the defects in the solids and the classification of solids based on magnetic properties and the electrical properties. These are all the concepts which can be studied under the topic solid states. So firstly, let us begin with the characteristics of solids. The characteristic properties of solids. Here the characteristic properties of solids are, they have definite shape, volume and size. Nextly, they have strong intermolecular force of attraction. They have strong intermolecular force of attraction. Next, they have short intermolecular distance. They have short intermolecular distance. They are incompressible. Nextly, they are highly rigid. These are the characteristic properties of solids. Nextly, we shall discuss about the classification of solids based on the order of arrangement of constituent particles. Based on the order of arrangement of constituent particles. Here, the classification of solids based on order of arrangement of constituent particles. Arrangement of constituent particles. Here, the constituent particles means maybe the atoms, maybe the ions, maybe the molecules. Constituent particles may be atoms, molecules, or ions. Based on the order of arrangement of these constituent particles, these solids are classified into two types. They are crystalline solid and amorphous solids. Crystalline solid means the solid in which the constituent particles are arranged in the regular pattern. Constituent particles are arranged in regular patterns. Then it is called as crystalline solid. Example, if you take the sodium chloride crystal, here the constituent particles are arranged in the regular pattern. So therefore they are called as crystalline solid. Due to this, they have regular geometry. Due to the regular geometry, they have a property called as anisotropic property. They are anisotropic in nature. So what is anisotropy? Anisotropy means it is a phenomenon in which certain physical properties gives different value when they are measured in the different direction. That property is called as anisotropic property. The properties are the phenomena in which certain physical properties gives different value when they are measured in different direction. Example, you can take the refractive index. This refractive index is anisotropic property because it gives different value when it is measured in the different direction. So therefore it is called as anisotropic property. These properties are executed by the crystalline solids. Then they are called as true solids. Because they accurately shows all the properties that have been shown by the solids. Therefore they are called as true solids. Next, they have definite heat of fusion. They have sharp melting point. Nextly, they have definite heat of fusion. So these are all the characteristics of the crystalline solids. Nextly, we shall move on to next type of solid, that is amorphous solid. Write down this one. So nextly, we shall move on to the amorphous solids. The solids in which the constituent particles are not arranged in the regular pattern, they are called as amorphous solids. The constituent particles are not arranged in regular pattern, are not arranged in regular pattern. They are called as amorphous solids. Due to this, they do not have regular geometry. They do not have regular geometry. Therefore, they are isotropic in nature. Therefore, they are isotropic in nature. Nextly, they do not possess a definite heat of fusion. Definite heat of fusion. They do not possess sharp melting point. Here, no definite heat of fusion, no sharp melting point. These are the characteristics of amorphous solid. When we compare the difference between the crystalline solid and the amorphous solid, we can tell that the constituent particles are arranged in the regular pattern. Here the constituent particles not arranged in the regular pattern. They have regular geometry. They do not have the regular geometry. They are anisotropic in nature. These are isotropic in nature. So here, if the crystalline solids are called as true solid, the amorphous solids are called as pseudo solids. Are called as pseudo solids because they have very small tendency to flow from one point to the another point, so which is not the property of the solids. Therefore, they are called as pseudo solids. Nextly, they have definite heat of fusion. These do not have definite heat of fusion. They have sharp melting point. These do not are having sharp melting point. These are the differences between the crystalline solid and amorphous solids. Nextly, we shall move on to the classification of crystalline solid. The classification of crystalline solid is mainly based on the constituent particle and the intermolecular force of attraction. So that can be explained by constructing a table here. So that can be. Now, the classification of crystalline solid based on the constituent particles and the binding forces. The classification of crystalline solids based on constituent particles and the intermolecular force of attraction To explain this, I will construct a table to explain this. Firstly, I will take up the type of crystalline solid, Next, the constituent particle, nextly intermolecular force of attraction, their melting point, their electrical conductivity, nextly here I will write up their examples. Okay, let us go one by one here. Okay, firstly, I will take the ionic solids. The solids in which the constituent particles are ions. They may be cations or anions. Which are held by electrostatic force of attraction. Or the Coulombic force of attraction. They are called as ionic solids. That means the solids in which the constituent particles are ions held by the electrostatic force of attraction or the Coulombic force of attraction are called as ionic solids. These are having high melting point and they possess electrical conductivity in their aqueous form. Solution. Example, we can take the sodium chloride, the magnesium oxide, the barium chloride. These are all the examples for the ionic solids. Nextly, we shall move on to the covalent solids. The solids in which the constituent particles are atoms held by covalent bond. They possess very high melting point. They do not conduct electricity. That means they are insulators for electricity, except graphite. Example, we can take diamond, graphite, the silicon carbide. These are all the examples for the covalent solids. All are insulator except graphite. So nextly, we shall move on to the metallic solids. Here, the constituent particles in the metallic solids are metal ions or cations held by the metallic bond. They possess high melting point. They conduct electricity. They are conductors for electricity. Nextly, the example we can give the zinc, iron, magnesium. These are all the examples for the covalent solids. Nextly, we shall move on to the another type of solids which are called as the molecular solids. The molecular solids means the solids in which the constituent particles or molecules which are held by weak van der Waals force of attraction. They are called as molecular solids. So these molecular solids are further classified into three types. They are polar molecular solids, non-polar molecular solids, Nextly, hydrogen bonded molecular solids. Firstly, the polar molecular solids. Here, the constituent particles are polar molecules. Polar molecules means any molecule which possesses a permanent dipole, they are all called as polar molecules. Here, the polar molecules are the constituent particles held by dipole-dipole interactions. They are held by, it should have to be written here. So, here the constituent particles are the polar molecules or any molecule which is having the permanent dipole, they are polar molecules. Here they are held by dipole-dipole interactions. They possess low melting point. Here their electrical property, they conduct electricity in aqueous form, conductors in aqueous medium. The example we can take the hydrogen chloride or the sulfur dioxide are the examples for the polar molecular solids. Nextly, the non-polar molecular solids. Here the constituent particles are non-polar molecules which are held by dispersion force or the London force, and they also possess very low melting point. They are insulators for the electrical conductivity, and the example are the iodine H2 or many diatomic molecules can be taken as non-polar molecules. Here I can write the non-polar molecular solids. The constituent particles are non-polar molecules. That means any molecule which does not possess any permanent dipole, they are called as non-polar molecules which are held by dispersion force or with London force. They possess very low melting point. They are insulators for the electricity. Example, we can take the iodine crystals, the chlorine, solid chlorine, bromine, or the examples for non-polar molecular solids. Nextly, we shall move on to the hydrogen bonded molecular solids. The molecules which is having either oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen are the constituent particles which are held by the hydrogen bonding are called as hydrogen bonded molecular solids. They possess low melting point. They are insulators. Examples, you can take ice is an example. For the hydrogen bonded molecular solids. This is the classification of crystalline solids. Here important topic is the constituent particles and the intermolecular force of attraction are the very important. What are the constituent particles? What is the binding force between the constituent particles? How about the electrical conductivity, and their examples are the important terms to be concentrated over the classification of the crystalline solids. Nextly, we shall move on to the next topic of solid state, that is crystal lattice and the unit cell. Okay, so crystal lattice and the unit cells. Crystal lattice and the unit cell. So here crystal lattice means this three-dimensional diagram, a three-dimensional diagram which describes the arrangement of the constituent particles of the crystal lattice. Three-dimensional diagram which describes the arrangement of the constituent particles. Arrangement of constituent particles of crystals of a crystal is called as crystal lattice. So here it is called as the crystal lattice. Here these points are called as lattice points. These points are called as lattice points, and the arrangement of this diagram is called as the crystal lattice. Under this, the unit cell. The unit cell. Unit cell means the smallest repeating unit of the crystal lattice is called as unit cell. The smallest repeating unit of a crystal lattice is called as unit cell. In this crystal lattice, we can consider this one as the unit cell. We can consider this one as unit cell because this pattern is obtained repeatedly. Therefore, this repeated unit of this crystal lattice is called as a unit cell. These unit cells are further classified into two types, like primitive unit cells and non-primitive unit cells. Primitive unit cell and non-primitive unit cell. Primitive unit cell means in which the particles are present, the unit cell in which the particles are present only at the corners. Only at corners of the unit cell. They are called as the primitive unit cell. Non-primitive unit cell means here the particles are present at other parts of the unit cells apart from the cornered particles. They are called as non-primitive unit cell. I will give you an example. The simple cubic unit cell. Here in this unit cell, the particles are present at only at corner. Therefore, it is called as the primitive unit cell. Therefore, it is called as the primitive unit cell. If the particles are present at center of each faces, then it is called as non-primitive unit cell. Then it is called as non-primitive unit cell because along with the cornered particles, the particles are present at other parts of the unit cell. Therefore, this is called as non-primitive unit cell. This non-primitive unit cell is further classified into three types. They are face-centered unit cell, face-centered cubic cell, body-centered cubic cell, body-centered cubic cell, end-centered cubic cell, end-centered cubic cell. Firstly, let us take the face-centered cubic cell. Face-centered cubic cell. In the face-centered cubic cell, the particles are present at center of each faces, center of each faces here. So if you take a cubic unit cell, in this cubic unit cell, the particle present at corner as well as center of each faces, center of each faces, it is called as face center cubic cell. Nextly, body centered cubic cell, body center cubic cell. Here the particle present at corner as well as center of the unit cell. You can take, if it is the unit cell, here the particle is present at corner and the center of the unit cell. Therefore, it is called as body center unit cell. Nextly, end center unit cell. End center unit cell. End centered unit cell means here the particles are present at corner and center of two opposite faces, center of two opposite faces. Therefore, it is called as end center particles cubic cell. Here the particle present at corner and center of two opposite faces, center of two opposite faces. Therefore, it is called as end center unit cell. Nextly, we shall move on to calculation of the number of particles present in each type of unit cell. Let us go through here the calculation of number of particles in an unit cell. Calculation of number of particles in unit cell. Here I will write the calculation of number of particles in unit cell. So here we can simplify a formula to calculate the number of particles present in an unit cell. That formula can be given by the number of particles is equal to Nc divided by 8, Nf divided by 2, Nb divided by 1 and Ne divided by 2. Ne divided by 2. Here Nc means the number of particles at corner, number of particles at corner. Nf means the number of particles at center of face, at center of each face. Next, Nb means the number of particles at the body center, at the body center. Next, Ne means the number of particles at end center, at end center. Now let us take a simple cubic unit cell, a simple cubic unit cell. In this simple cubic unit cell, simple cubic unit cell, here the particles are present at only at corner, particle present at only at the corner. So if we have to calculate the number of particles present in this unit cell, we can apply this formula, that is Nc divided by 8, Nf divided by 2, Nb divided by 1, Ne divided by 2. Nc means number of particles present at the corner. If a particle present at the corner, only 1/8 part of this particle belongs to this unit cell. The remaining 7 part of this particle is shared between different unit cell. Therefore, we will divide the number of Carnot particle divided by 8. Suppose the particle is present at center of phase, then this particle will be shared between two different unit cell. Only one half of its portion is belong to this unit cell. Therefore, we are dividing the number of phase center particle divided by 2. Next, if you take NB, means here the number of particles which is present at the center of the unit cell, it is entirely belong to this particular unit cell only. Therefore, we will divide it by 1. If you take NE, that means the number of particles which are present at the end center, this particle is shared between two different unit cells. Therefore, we are dividing it by 2. Therefore, the number of particles present in simple cubic unit cell is given by, from the formula, we will be having formula NC divided by 8, NF divided by 2, NB divided by 1 plus NE divided by 2. The number of Carnot particles is equal to 8. Only the particles are present at corner, no other particles, plus 8. NF means there are no face centered particles, therefore 0. There are no body centered particle, it is 0. There are no end centered particle, therefore it is also 0. 8 divided by 8 gives you 1. Therefore, the number of particles present in simple cubic unit cell is equal to 1. Similarly, number of particles present in face centered cubic cell. From the formula, we can write the number of particles is equal to, again saying NC divided by 8, NF divided by 2, NB divided by 1 plus NE divided by 2. Here there are 8 Carnot particles, therefore it is 8 divided by 8. Here there are 6 face centered particle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Therefore it is 6 divided by 2. There are no body centered particles, therefore it is equal to 0. There are no end side particles, therefore it is also equal to 0. That gives you 8 by 8, 1 plus 3, that is equal to 4. There are 4 particles present in face centered cubic cell. If you take the body centered unit cell, here also the same formula, NC divided by 8, NF divided by 2, NB divided by 1, NE divided by 2. Here there are 8 Carnot particles, therefore it is 8 divided by 8, plus there are no face centered particles, therefore 0. Here there is 1 body centered particle, therefore it is 1. Here there are no end centered particle, therefore it is equal to 0. So you can write 8 by 8 is equal to 1 plus 1, that is equal to 2. The number of particles present in body centered cubic cell is equal to 2. Similarly, end centered particle. In the end centered particle, there are 8 particles at corner. There are no face centered particle. There are no body centered particle. It is having 2 end centered particle. Therefore, it is 2 divided by 2. Therefore, it is 1 plus 1, that is equal to 2. That is, the number of particles present in end centered particle unit cell is 2. Number of particles present in body centered cubic cell is 2. The number of particles present in face centered cubic cell is 4. The number of particles which is present in simple unit cell is equal to 1. This is how we will calculate the number of particles present in the unit cell. Nextly, today we have discussed about calculation of the number of particles present in unit cell. Next, the packing efficiency in different unit cell, and what is packing efficiency, how to calculate the packing efficiency in different unit cell can be discussed by next session.